Hey, Mama. How are you? Going for a walk. Hello, everybody. How are you doing? I hope you guys are doing well. This is Dr. Eve. I want to share some nuggets about what I have learned from following the 7 years of One Direction. 7 years of One Direction, which is a London pop group, a London rock group of teenagers who are blazing the trail, right? Over in London. And they have been an amazing group, and they're trending right now, which is good. But here's what I'm learning from. Thank you so much for being here, you guys. This is Dr. Eve. I'm taking my little walk today, regardless of this heat, because I, have to stay in tune to get this body right? But you guys know I don't like to come out here without sharing a nugget or two with the world, right? So thank you so much for being here. If you are here for the first time, this is Dr. Eve. Please hit that Perry do down there and like and follow, because I give out and love to share great information. So what am I talking about today? Resiliency. That's what we're talking about today. Thank you for joining. Please share with your followers. Please tell me who you are. I don't like to do this thing alone. And I am talking today about resiliency and what I learned from following the history of 7 years of, yes. Hello, James. Thank you so much for joining. From following the 7 years of One Direction. This is a pop group out of London, and they're doing amazing things. An amazing group of young guys who have had to be resilient. Like many artists, they have had to be resilient because of, as the group dynamics change, group dynamics are always changing. Nothing ever stays the same. We are always ever evolving. We may start out one way and end up a whole other, right? And so that's what we're going to be talking about today, resiliency and what that looks like, and how we can look at the young people for information. We can look at the young people just for leadership. We don't have all the answers, but if we would take time to explore the life of others, we can learn a lot of great, valuable lessons from these young people. So 7 years, they are celebrating their 7th anniversary. Again, they're celebrating their 7th anniversary as a rock group. Now, why do I find rock interesting? Because I have a daughter who loves rock. And I mean, she's a musician and she loves all kinds of music, right? And I mean all kinds of music. She has an appreciation for all forms of art. Hey, Muhammad 19, thank you so much for joining. So today I'm talking about this rock band that they're celebrating their anniversary. One Direction. It's a London-based band, and they have gone through some trial and error, just like most groups, even leadership groups. Let's talk about that. How does this compare to leadership groups, right? How does this compare? This is Dr. E. For those of you who are following me, who are on my scope for the very first time, my name is Dr. Eve Angel Savage, and I am your evidence-based mobile social support coach. And what that simply means is that I help service leaders to remove the barriers to integrate, hey Mexican fighter, integrate research into their business practices to optimize their businesses. So, and I do that in mobile assisted environments. So today I am sharing with you about this anniversary of this group. they have gone through, like many groups have gone through, sometimes you are grown, you'll come out as maybe 6 or 7. You may come out as 6 or 7. Hey, Robert Smith Jr., thank you so much for joining. You may come out as 6 or 7. Thank you for sharing with your followers. I appreciate it. Please share this on Twitter as well. You may come out as a group of 6. And many of you know, many of the groups that we've followed as young people, we have watched them go from 6 to 5 and finally to individuals. Well, every group is made up of individuals. It's just that simple. You can't have a group without having individuals within the group, right? So, but the individuals all bring something special to the table, right? Something unique and special to the table, which makes a beautiful blend, right? A beautiful blend. And so when I think about music groups, I also think about how they compare to groups that we create. Groups that we create as leaders, groups that we join as followers or collaborators, I like to say. But I don't excuse the word followers, because in order to lead, you must also be able to follow someone, right? Hello there. Thank you so much for joining. So I was thinking about how they have really stuck it out. 7 years, they still stuck it out. They went from their large group membership and now they're working on their individual selves, right? So here's the thing. No matter what your group starts out like, it could start out like a large group. But if that group does not somehow empower the individuals within the group, then what was the whole point of it, right? So you can get to fame and fortune through groups. You have the fame and fortune of all these groups. Hey, Bablo777, thank you for joining. Talking about one of my daughter's favorite bands, One Direction. So, hey there. Hey, After the Sunset, thank you so much for joining. They're an amazing group. And now we look at them and we see how they are now as individuals, perfecting their own artistry, right? Perfecting their own artistry as individuals, and will eventually do their own things, whether that something is in business, whether that something is in leadership, whether that something is in developing their own organization or causes. They too will grow to be fine young men who, and that is our prayer, that is always our prayer, that they will grow to be fine young men, and that they too will come into their own as adults, right? As adults. So they are celebrating 7 years of being together, and I'm excited for them. I'm excited for them. My daughter loves rock bands, and she follows them all over the state. She's always going to some rock concert. Group of young men are now branching off and doing their thing. So I want to talk about what that looked like for me. Even at 54 years old. I have belonged to many groups and many organizations, and I too had to learn to be resilient. Hey, Melanie Moore 36, we're talking about the resiliency that One Direction has demonstrated over the years. And so I too have had to demonstrate that same sort of resiliency. Sometimes things just don't go the way you want them to, right? Along your journey, along that trajectory, as you learn, as you build, and as you grow, things change. You have to be prepared to pivot, and they have always pivoted in their in their movement, right? They have pivoted in their leadership. They have pivoted in their group dynamics. And now they're pivoting. Hello there. Thank you so much for joining. And now they're also pivoting in their leadership. And so we can learn a lot from the young people. And that's what we're talking about today. I have had to pivot over the last couple of years. Hello, how are you doing? Thank you so much for joining. For those of you who are joining me, this is Dr. Savage, and I'm talking about One Direction. One Direction, the rock group, and how they have been so resilient. Hello. How they have been so resilient in their bounce back. How they have, regardless of their group dynamics and the breakdown, how they were able to pivot and still move in the right direction, because they will one day be fathers, their husbands and fathers, and they're already sons and cousins, and all these great things. And they made their mark on the world, which is absolutely wonderful. They've certainly made their mark in my house because my daughter loves the group. And so I'm thinking, well, what can we learn? What can we learn from them? What can we learn? We can learn that through time, things change. Things are always changing, right? Such is life. Such is life. Things are always changing. But are you prepared for the change? Are you prepared? Do you have the right mindset? Hey, give God your all. Do you have the right mindset to pivot, just as these young men have, in celebration of 7 years of being together as a group? They still had to pivot, right? So how do you prepare to pivot? First, by knowing that things change and it's okay. Accepting that. It's okay. Sometimes we can allow life to knock the breath out of us, right? We can allow it to knock the breath out of us. But we have to be resilient creatures in knowing that regardless of whatever life throws at us, that we can come back leading the pack. We can come back leading the pack. Now, what does that look like for you? That might look like being empowered as an individual to do something else for someone else, right? To do something for someone else, right? To lead an organization, to mentor a child, to help a victim of domestic violence, to sing a song to the elderly, to so many things that we can do. But we must be prepared to know that life is ever changing. Life is ever changing, and that's okay. It's okay. We have to be resilient enough to bounce back, right? To know that we have to pivot. In business, we have to pivot often. Just like One Direction had to pivot, we have to pivot often as well, even in business, right? So as a leader of a group, of the Evidence Group, a coaching, and as a leader of Audacity Leadership Institute, as a leader of Case by Case Research Foundation, as a leader of a parent company with subsidiaries, it's very important that we learn these valuable lessons. Hello there. Thank you so much for joining. I'm talking about the celebration for One Direction, who was founded on X Factor. They were founded by X Factor, and their careers just went boom, 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 right? And they have been pivoting ever since. An amazing group of young boys that are growing into young men rather. I like to refer to them as young men, young adults who are growing into their own, and they've had to pivot just like we do. Music industry, their group is a business. It's a business just like our businesses, right? And so it does not pale in comparison to, it is very similar and parallel to what we do, right? They have had to pivot over the years only to come out to now be working on their own leadership and style and growth. Groups do not stay together forever. They do not stay together forever, right? What do we know from the experience that we've seen in the music industry? What do we know? What can we learn from all of the amazing groups that we used to follow, right? What can we learn from these groups? They don't stay together. They eventually have to move in a direction to live life, to live their very best life, right? They become husbands and wives and mothers and fathers and mentors and leaders and corporate owners, right? Or big labels for marketing industries, for major corporations, right? They develop brands so that, and legacies for their children, right? So let's think about this, what we can learn from their pivoting. They're pivoting. This young group is trending right now, and because, I am so familiar with rock artists is because I have a daughter who loves music. She plays the band. She plays about 9 different instruments, and she wants her own group one day. So, and I won't take that from her, because I love to entertain the growth and skill mastery of young people. So it's been amazing following them and the lessons that we can learn. And so I want us to always be thinking about when we're learning about people, how does that relate to my life? How the process of association, how does what happened to them, what can I learn from this, right? Because we often look at media and we take media and what they say at face value, and we never really look into what's happening. Now, these guys are celebrating 7 years together. 7 right by itself is a good number to me. 7 right by itself is a great number. And so, because of that, I celebrate you 7 years of One Direction, right? I love the group name, One Direction, but at the same time, think about that. They could never just be going in one direction, unless, of course, that direction is always growth, right? No matter what it looks like, no matter what resilient, they have to be resilient. No matter what it looks like, if that's the direction, then I say yes, right? I say growth. And so in everything we're doing, we're growing. So let's keep it right there, right? They're growing. And so because of that, their brand is so significant. Now, I'm going to think about this from a business perspective. One Direction. How many of you have joined the I Am movement? I Am movement. I am the evidence. When you join, think about that. I am. The Father said, I am that I am. I am who they say that I am, right? So this I Am movement that's going on is a marriage to who you are, right? And so we have to begin to think about that, even when I think about One Direction. Even when I think about the celebration of these young men who have stuck it out, have become a phenomenal group of musicians and singers who just grace us with their song and folly, right? And so I think about their name, One Direction. I am One Direction, right? Are you? I think about I think it's amazing because we all are, I am somebody. I am more than enough. I am great. I am great. I am brilliant. I am a genius. I am, right? They are, I am One Direction. So when I think about, again, what I really just wanted to share with you guys, hey, Joy Gopal, thank you so much for joining in celebration of these young men. I think about their direction. Their One Direction, the title of their band, the name of their group is amazing, right? One Direction, right? They're going in one direction. If we think about that direction as it relates to growth, as it relates to their growth as young men, we can then understand why it's so important that they had to pivot here, pivot there, to be in their phenomenal states. And they're still together 7 years. We celebrate you. We celebrate you 7 years in One Direction. And that's lessons that I have learned just by looking at their history. You know, knowing that rock is cool. My daughter loves it. It's cool. She loves it. If she love it, I love it, right? It's expression. It's creative art. It's creative. It's who they are. It's what they do, right? We all have a story. We have our whys, right? We have our things. Thank you so much for joining, and thank you for sharing with your followers. Please share on Twitter as I celebrate seven years of One Direction, because they're amazing. And I learn from the young and the old. I learn from the young and the old. And for you, those of you again who are here on my scope, my name is Dr. Eve Angel Savage. I am your evidence-based mobile social support coach, and I enjoy celebrating other people. So 7 years of One Direction, or One Direction, we celebrate you today. Hey, Lady Butterfly, thank you so much for joining. We celebrate you for your resiliency. We celebrate you for your ability to pivot. We celebrate you and your growth and your leadership. We celebrate you for your stick-to-itness. We celebrate you for your talent. We celebrate you for being amazing. Hey, Wid and hello, thank you for joining. I am talking about my daughter's band, favorite group, One Direction. And so they're amazing. And so we can learn lessons by looking into the windows of our young people. You know, how can we help them? Hello? Can't hear? You can't hear me? Really? I've been talking all this time and you can't hear me? Can you hear me now? Hey, Mississippi. Hey, Mississippi. Thank you so much for joining. So, can you hear me now? Oh, wow. Don't tell me people couldn't hear me all that time. So, you know, I've been talking about resiliency. I'm out here on my exercise, and I was talking about celebrating the young group One Direction out of London. My daughter is a rock. She loves rock. She loves bands. She loves music. She plays 9 different instruments. And I was talking about the lessons that we have learned from this young band that stayed together. They stayed together. They're celebrating 7 years of being amazing. And they've had to pivot. They've had to grow in their space as they perfect their craft. And now they are growing as young leaders into their own. And so that resiliency is important. It's important that we look and we teach and we learn from those that we follow. Hi, how are you doing? It's good to see you. Thank you so much. This is Dr. Eve. And I was celebrating the young group One Direction. And I love their name. You know, I love their name. Where are you now? I am walking. I am in Greenville, North Carolina, where I live and share experiences with my fellow man. I hope that you are well. What's your name? Thank you for joining my scope. I'm out here walking, getting some exercise. It's sunny and hot, and I'm being kissed by the sun. I am being kissed by this sun right now. But it's better than doctors giving me vitamin D artificially to take, right? Might as well get some sun, right? So, hey, I am Jose. Hey, Jose. Thank you so much for joining. We are talking about the rock band One Direction and their celebration, 7-year celebration of resiliency, really. You're from Kuwait. Hey, Kuwait from Kuwait. Thank you so much for joining. Glad you are here. So I'm out here getting this sun and this walk on, and I figured I would have you guys join me and celebrate 7 years of One Direction as well. So if you are here, please share this celebration of One Direction on your Twitter to your followers. Thank you so much. If you have not joined me yet, Please push the Perry-do down there. I like to celebrate others. I am your evidence-based mobile social support coach, and I help leaders remove the barriers of integrating research into their business practices. How do I do that? As a social researcher. 30 years of experience in healthcare and academia and corporate America. So I help you to look at this phrase that sustains. What does the evidence say about your market? Right? That's so critical. Many of us are scoundering around looking, how do we do this? How do we build content? How do we develop a strategy? Are you visiting India? One day real soon. Hey Dave 1080, thank you so much for joining. We are talking about One Direction, the band that's celebrating their 7th year of resiliency. And so I'm excited. I'm excited about everything about life, and how I can help others to remove the barriers to being great, to just being great. It's real simple. We make things that are simple difficult, and they don't have to be. So I teach people to look at the simple side of research, look at the benefit of doing research, look at how you target like a boss with the research, right? So by developing who you are. One Direction certainly did that. They had their gifts. They have their gifts in music. They have their gift in their label, which is One Direction, which is awesome, an awesome brand, right, to follow. Thank you, Lady 550. Thank you so much for joining. We're talking about the celebration of One Direction, 7 years, how that relates to now, what lessons we can learn from them, and all of these great things. So hashtag 7 years of One Direction. 7 years of One Direction. Please share with your followers. Thank you so much for joining me in this intense heat out here. This is Dr. Eve, and I'm going to keep walking on and continue. If you have questions, hey there, thank you so much for joining. If you have questions of me and why this topic, please ask them now. I love to engage with my audience. I love to hear your ideas and opinions. What are your thoughts about the One Direction band? What are your thoughts about their celebration? Anybody, what are your thoughts about their celebration and the things that they've had to go through to get to where they are, right? Let's talk. Let's have a conversation, right? Let's engage. So what are your thoughts about One Direction? I love the band myself. I love them because of their resiliency. They demonstrate leadership at its finest, and they demonstrate how you pivot and survive. They demonstrate how you grow as leaders, knowing that nothing ever stays the same and that you are always ever evolving, right? So for all of you out there who are trying to get this thing right, who are trying to understand that the blueprint does change the moment you write the ink on the page. It does. It does. As soon as you write the ink on the page, because you're growing as a leader, you're evolving, you're coming into your knowing, right? I started out as the angel investor. Why? Because that's what I did. That's what I was doing. I was giving away money to organizations that fit within the mission of my research foundation, right? But that wasn't what I'm able to do for people in monetizing myself. That didn't have anything to do with my ability to monetize my services, right? So who am I? And that is the question that we have to ask ourselves. Hey, Joy Go Pal, thank you so much for coming back. I appreciate you. Thank you please share this on Twitter for me, please. Matter of fact, I'll go ahead and share it myself because I haven't seen anyone share it. I'm going to ask for the share. I'm going to ask you to follow. And I am going to share my broadcast with some people. See if I can get some familiar faces in the room. Let me see if I can share. Can I share this on Twitter? Let's see. Maybe I can. Let's see. Share. I don't see that I can share it on Twitter, so maybe that's not an option, right? Okay, so I'm back and I'm sweating. And I'm sweating because it's really hot out here, guys. It's really hot out here, so it would be nice if you guys talk back to me so I can stay. Because I might have to go run and find some shade in a minute. So, we're talking about One Direction. For those of you who have not followed me yet, please do so. This is Dr. Eve, your evidence-based mobile social support coach. And I'm talking about the resiliency factor that I saw and see in the One Direction band out of London. London-based band that was found on X Factor. They were found on X Factor, and they're doing amazing things, and they're celebrating their 7th year together, and I might as well celebrate with them. So I'm celebrating with the kings, with those kings who are growing into their own leadership. So, you guys, I think I may have had all I want to take of being kissed by this sun. Hey there, how you doing? Who walks with pearls on, right? I do. Hello, we're talking about the band and celebration of the band and their direction and all they've done, their brand, what we can learn from their resiliency, what we grow, what we learn about how we evolve as individuals, even from a group or from a business to leadership of our own, and how that manifests itself. So this has been wonderful, you guys. But you know what? It's really hot out here. So I'm about to have to take it in. I've done a couple of laps. But being out here in this heat, probably don't have to do as many laps because of the heat. So I am going to take it inside. So if you don't have any questions of me, then I am going to sign off. Please follow me. Please follow as I share the lives of other people with the world, and how we can learn so many valuable lessons from the young people, the groups, the pioneers, the leaders that are growing into their knowing. And thank you so much for being here. So, I am about to sign off because it's hot out here, folks. No more sun kiss for the sun kiss. No more.